Hey guys, welcome back to another Roblox tutorial. Today's video is not a beginner tutorial, but it is a tutorial on how to do the lobby system slash elevator system from doors, or at least that kind of thing. So yeah, let's get started. So first things first, you're obviously gonna want an elevator model. I'm just going to throw one in here. Okay, so here is my elevator model. I'm going to talk a bit about the layout first. So on it we have the collision door, which is what the player will walk into to enter the elevator. That collision door has the sounds under it, the player enter, tick, and tick major. Tick and tick major are just for like when the timer is ticking down. And then we also have the GUI under it, which just has the player amount and time left. Along with that, we have the camera position in here, which is where the player's camera will be put when they enter the elevator. You can have this wherever you want. Well, actually, you can really have any of these wherever you want. Then we have TP in and TP out, which is where the player will be teleported into when they enter the elevator, and out to when they exit the elevator. Yeah, I think that's about it. Now, with the scripts, you are going to have to adapt the references for each part to whatever your model is. So I would recommend having some at least basic scripting knowledge before proceeding. So yeah, let's create a new script. Now, first things first, we're just going to make the system for teleporting the player into the elevator. We'll make a function, player enter, and have their character in here. Actually, first of all, let's go into replicated storage and make a new folder called events. You don't have to make the new folder, you just need the events and to make sure to adapt your references. And I'm going to make another one called remote events because I like to do that. In a remote event, and it would be player enter, and we'll make another one, player exit. We'll make one more loading screen. When we're gonna at the top here, local rs equals game get service replicated storage. Then we're going to make a few references up here actually first. Local player in pause equals script.parent.tpin equal player out pause equals script.parent.tp out. And we're going to character pivot to player in pause dot cframe. So what that's going to do is it's going to take the player's character and place their character at the TP in parts cframe. And then we're going to do rs.events.remote events. You know what, actually, let's make a quick reference to remote events equals rs.events.remote events. The remote events dot player enter fire client. Make a up here players equals game get service players. The players dot colon get player from character and pass in the character, and then we're also going to pass in script.parent. So what this is going to do is it's going to fire the remote event onto the client that owns this character, and it's going to pass in this elevator so it knows which one it's in. And I believe that should be all for that function. Now we're going to do player exit. So function player exit character. Oh no, it would be in this case player. So then we just player dot character pivot to some player out pause. And then we're just going to rs dot No, actually, we won't call any events because the player exit event will be called from the client itself. Now, in order to call this player enter, we're going to do script.parent, and then this one depends, of course, because it's a reference on where your layout. So local collision door equals script.parent dot elevator car dot collision, dot actual collision dot collision door. Then we're gonna do collision door dot touched connect function part. So it's gonna, when a part touches this collision door, then we're going to try to get the player from it. So local player equals game.players get player, players get player from character part.parent. And if the player exists, then this is obviously a player's character. If not, then oh well. We're going to do, sorry, I've forgotten to make this one thing. We're gonna need a few values up here. So we're gonna do local place ID equals 0. This would be where your place ID would be. So say this lobby place right here would be separate to your game. So you go view, asset manager, and in here you would go to places, and then actually, you know what, I'll save it. Why not? So view, asset manager, places, and then you create a new place, and you would name it. You would put all your game stuff in here, and then you can go back and right click it, copy ID to clipboard, and then paste it there. So now you have your place ID. Now next we're gonna need a table called local players in queue equals that. Local max timer, so this is where the time will start from and tick down. 30. Local time left equals max timer. So the amount of time we have left will just be defaulted to the max timer. Local max players equals we'll do 2 on this one. And this one is optional, but if you want your max players to be all the same across all your elevators, or to be a certain value when you have a private server, or when the player's in a private server, then you can do if game dot private server ID does not equal blank, and game dot private server owner ID does not equal 0, then max players equals 4. We'll just do that. That can be anything though. And local timer active equals false. I'm gonna go back to our touched, and if table.find players in queue, and pass in the player. So if the player can be found within the players in queue, then return, because we don't want to add them to the queue again. Now, if the number of players in queue is less than max players, then we want to add them to the queue. Table.insert players in queue, player, enter. And then real quick, we're just going to make a function, queue changed, and we're going to call that as well. That's it for that. Now remote events dot player exit connect dot on server event connect function player if table.find players in queue player, then they're in the queue. I'm going to do, you know what? Actually, we're going to move this table.insert here into the player enter. And all right, we're going to change a few things about this function. So we're going to change this character here to player so that it can pass a player. And what I'm doing here is I'm just defining the type. So if I don't do that here, then if I do player dot, you'll see that they don't really have anything. But if I add this, then the code editor will know that this is a player object, so it'll give it all of its autocompletes. So then instead of character here, we can just do player.character, and instead of players get player from character, we can just do player.character. Wait, no, sorry, we'll just add in player. My bad. And then in player exit, we can do table.remove, table.find, no, sorry, players in queue first, and then table.find, players in queue, player. It does that. Then we can just do player exit, and pass in the player, and then queue changed. I just need to in player enter here, pass in player. Now should be able to run it and hop in the elevator. And now you can see that it teleports me in. But we don't have a way to get out, so let's fix that real quick. Now I'm just going to put in some pre-made UI. Alright, so I have some UI here, and if I just make that visible, you'll see that it's just a simple leave button. You may recognize it from my game. And we also have the loading screen, if I can, whatever. This is also the one from RB test. It just has loading on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new local script under the screen's UI. And we can do equal rs equals game get service replicated storage. Then rs.events.remote events.player enter connect dot on client event connect function. And then we're just going to do script.parent.text button.visible equals true. Then we're going to do script.parent.text button one click connect function. We'll do rs.events.remote event.player exit fire server, and then script.parent.text button.visible equals false. So now, if I were to run it, we should see that I get the leave button when I enter, and if I hit leave, it doesn't. Now in here, I've forgotten to just .cframe in the character pivot 2 in player exit, where you're putting the player out pause. So now if we run, you should see that if we enter, it enters, and the leave button pops up, and we leave, then we will exit the elevator. Awesome. Now, let's just print out the players in queue when the queue change function is called, so that we can see exactly, if it's actually adding them. And as you can see, it prints it out, and you're here. Oh, and one more thing, if you don't know how, to open your output, just go to View, and then click Output. Or you may have just a grid of icons here. Click whatever this one looks like. I can't really describe it, unfortunately. But, yeah. So, let's do the queue change function now. So, if the number of players in queue is equal to 0, then we're just going to do, we need another reference. Local billboard equals script.parent.elevator car.actual collision.collision door.billboard GUI. So this is so that we can access the GUI easily. Now, if the players is equal to 0, then billboard.timeLeft.visible equals false. That is optional. Billboard.player. Actually, we'll do this outside of the if statement. So billboard.player amount.text equals number of players in queue, and concatenate out of max players. Now, if you want the timer to still be visible when there's no players in the elevator, then you can just keep this here. Or sorry, then you can just remove this line. Now, else, we'll do billboard.timeLeft.visible equals true. Billboard.timeLeft.text equals timeLeft. Now we're going to make a new function above here called timer. And we're not going to do anything with that yet. We're just going to add a task.spawn function and call it. So this task.spawn will just make it so that this will run in the background while the rest of the code runs, and it won't hold anything up. Now, let's go into the timer function. So, if the number of players in queue is equal to max players and time left is greater than 5. So if we have maximum players inside of the queue here, and the time left is still greater than 5, then we will just set it to 5. Now, if the timer is not active, then we want to set the timer to active so that this doesn't run twice. And while the number of players in queue is greater than 0 and the time left is greater than 0, we're going to do task.wait 1. So wait 1 second, time left minus equals 1. And billboard GUI.timeleft.text is equal to set it to time left. Now, once this finishes, so we've done the full timer, which is whatever this is, we do time left equals max timer. Billboard GUI.timeleft.visible equals false. Again, if you want the timer to stay visible, then just leave this here, or remove that, sorry. Timer active is equal to false, set it to false, and then if the numbers of players in queue is greater than 0, then above it, make a new function, transfer players, and we're just going to transfer players. Alright, now we're going to go up here and add in the teleport service, get service, teleport service, and I'm going to add the run service. Now, inside of transfer players, we're going to do if run service is studio. So if we're in studio and not in game, then we're just going to print transfer so that we know that it's actually running. We're going to do underscore player in players in queue, do player dot character dot player dot character pivot to, which is spot spawn location dot cframe plus plus vector3.new 0 to 0. Now you can set this to whatever part you want. This actually entire thing is kind of completely optional, because the reason why we're doing this is because the player cannot be transferred to another place while in studio. So we're just going to add a little bit of feedback so that we can first of all exit the elevator and know that the function is actually running. So after that, we're going to do remote events dot loading screen fire client player. Now this is optional. This will just make the loading screen pop up when we add that. You don't have to do this. It will be permanent in this case. So you don't have to if you want the game to just still be playable after you're done in the elevator if you're still in studio. But I add it for feedback. Then we're gonna do else. Then we're gonna create a reserved server code. Set it to teleport service reserved server, and set it to and pass in the place ID. And teleport server teleport to private server, place ID, reserved server code, and players in queue. And for underscore player in players in queue, do remote events loading screen fire client player. So what we're doing here is we are first creating a code for a reserved private server. Then we're teleporting all of the players in the queue to that private server by passing in the place we're teleporting to and the code for the server. Then we're going through all of the players in the queue and firing the loading screen, but I feel like this should actually be done before we teleport them. So now, outside of both if statements, we're going to do player.clear, players in queue, and then run queue changed. If we hit play, you'll see that we get in, and we have 1 out of 2 players, and the timer is ticking down. Now if you exit, the timer disappears and the player count goes down to 0. So now we want the camera to change, right? So I'm gonna go into starter player, then starter player script, and add a new script. I'm just gonna name it join leave queue. We're gonna do local tween service equals game get service tween service, then game.replicated storage.events.remote events.player enter on client event connect function elevator, because earlier on when we call the Fire client on player enter, we pass in the elevator model. So to get the camera position, we want to do local cam pause equals elevator dot cam pause. So first of all, we want to set the workspace current camera type to enum camera type scriptable. Then we want to create actually we don't even need to create a tween. We want to do ts create workspace.current camera as the first argument, and tween info.new 1.5 enum.easingstyle.quad and enum.easingdirection.out. And the third one, we want to pass in a table with an argument of cframe equals campause.cframe. And then after that, we want to just run :play. Then on game.replicated storage.events.remote events.player exit.onClient event connect function, we just want to set the workspace.current camera type to enum.camera equals enum.camera type.custom. Now, if we hit run, we should get our camera position. Bam. We leave. It does not reset. Ah, right. Okay, so the reason for that is that we never actually call player exit. So we just want to remote events.player exit fire client player. And then we hit play. And we run it. Our camera position works, then we leave, and we get put outside, and our camera returns to normal. Awesome. So, now, in our loading screen GUI, we're going to create a new local script under it. We're going to add the players, get service players, call tween service equals game, get service, tween service, and teleport service, game, get service, teleport service. So also we need local rs equals game, get service, replicated storage. So rs.events.remote events.loading screen.onClient event connect function. In here is where you would disable any of your other GUIs. Or maybe you would want to do that through their scripts, whichever you prefer. So what we're going to do is going to do for I, v in I pairs. And this animation here, you can customize however you want. This is just how my loading screen will work with it. So script.parent, get descendants, do. If v is a frame, then ts create v, actually we're going to make a tween info up here. Local tween info equals tween info.new 1, and then enum.easingstyle.linear. It just makes it a bit easier, so we just put in tween info in here. And then transparency equals 0. Else, if v is a text label, then tweens, actually we're just going to copy this line and change transparency to text transparency. Then afterward, teleport server service set teleport GUI script.parent. So that should be it for the loading screen, and just to make this a bit easier, because of the way it's coded, we can now do max players equals 1, and as you will see, that since it has the maximum amount of players, it will immediately, oh, I should probably change the camera position to actually properly demonstrate it. Alright, so I play, hopefully it works, I just do that, and it goes straight down to 5. As you can see, nothing happens. And we're just going to change this to background transparency. Ah, yes, sorry. You have to add :play to all of these. To both of these, sorry. So we go in, we wait, and hopefully our loading screen pops up. And of course, in the actual game, this would teleport us. And before we go into the actual game to test, we're just going to add in a few sound effects. So quickly, billboard right here. I feel like I should fix this. After setting the time left to 5, you want to do billboard.timeleft.text equals time left. Now we're gonna add some sound effects. So if time left is greater than 5, then we're going to do collision door dot tick play, else collision door dot tick major play. And in a player enter, we're going to do collision door dot player enter play. Now we should have sounds. And obviously we can't hear the normal tick because we have the correct amount of players, but we do that. And we have a tick sound. Now, just gonna set that back to 1. I don't have a sound for the elevator closing or anything, but if you want to add that, then you could just add that right here, just before transfer players. So, right before we go into test, I just want to tell you that in order for the teleport to actually work, you are going to have to go into your separate place and make sure it is published. And this place has to be published too. So, to publish this place, we're just going to do File, Publish to Roblox. And I'm just going to close out of that. And same with this one, File, Publish to Roblox. Now, we're going to go into the game and check it out. So, we are now in game, and we have the elevator here. So, if I go in, then the timer ticks down, I can leave, go back in, timer is reset. I just wait for it, and it loads, and hopefully if there are no issues, we should be teleported to the new place. And yeah, that's gonna do it for the Doors lobby system tutorial / general lobby system tutorial. That can be applied to pretty much any other system that's like Doors or maybe Tower Defense Simulator, stuff like that. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions for other tutorials I should do, or maybe questions, you can comment them down below. And yeah. See ya.